Alright, new for 2021, it says, is the, it doesn't really have a name on the package, but it's a blister pack with a skeleton reading a newspaper. He's reading his horoscope underneath a pumpkin lamp. It doesn't light up, it's just a little figurine accent piece. We're going to see if we can maybe make this light up. The reason I say there's a chance is if you look right here, there's a slot that goes all the way through. That slot is because this is the light fixture from most of the lights that are attached to a 3 or a 4.5 volt box that runs on a string that you can stick in your village. So, is it possible to fish some really thin wires in here and stick an LED in here and make it light up? Because that would be, well, that would look pretty cool, I think. But I could be wrong. And it may not come apart. But taking a close look at it, there is hard resin type glue. There's an overabundance of it on this side, right in here. The skeleton is glued at the feet to the base, and his back and pelvis appear to be glued up just his back, right there. So I'm thinking the easiest way to try and break this free without busting up the skeleton too bad is to try and break the glue right here on the spine, and leaving his feet completely attached to the base, and then try and work the glue or adhesive off of the base and the pad. Never mind, it just popped right off and severed his spine. I didn't even give it that much pressure. Apparently they only glued one side. So you're, I don't know, 70% of it. And this vertebrae, which I was looking at closely, is slightly different than the rest of the vertebrae. It's a different color. It's kind of clear, and it's a circle. So I'm actually wondering if he's supposed to be in two pieces, and they just glued them together. That don't matter. He is now. So let's remove some of this stuff. That's a promising sign. That's going a little over a third up the light pole. Let's try a piece of wire. Let's try a piece of wire without an end attached to it. Wasn't expecting it to come off that easy. Piece of wire. No, it appears to be getting caught right here where this indentation of plastic is. So it may not be hollow. Oh wow, that tapers down to a really small hole. Smaller than that piece of wire. It might be hollow. I just see something that's smaller diameter. Alright, well I got some solder. That gets me up to here. So the fat wire got me to this indentation there. The solder gets me all the way to the almost curve. So we're talking some paper thin wires to make this work. So there is a chance I might be able to feed a, oh geez, I don't even know what gauge that would be, like 28 gauge, 30 gauge. We're talking minute in size. Next is to try and get this pumpkin off without breaking the light pole. That one I'm going to use heat. So I'm going to set my heat here. Set it for 100 degrees centigrade or boiling, 212 Fahrenheit. Let's see what we got. Well, there goes the pumpkin. They had it rolled right under the refrigerator. Awesome. And the glue is now all sticky because it's still warm. It almost feels like hot glue. It might be hot glue. And it does have a thin hole. My solder go. I'm going to try and see if I can find some really thin wire to feed through here. Let me see. There is glue or resin, that goes way up inside. So I'm going to use a little micro bit and see if I can get some of that out. I'm sure when they glued this together, they probably had the light pole upside down like this, and they squirted it on, so as it was still liquid, it just ran down inside. This drill bit's a hair too big. We'll get out a couple more micro bits that are in the next sizes down. It's just easier for me to hold the bit and then twist the light fixture. And if this doesn't go all the way through, probably still going to make it light up, but I'll do it slightly different. A lot of these old-timey lights, if you've ever been to an old, like ghost town, the wires don't run through the pole all the way. They'll have a little loop. Because this has this decorative design, might be able to get some thin wire and follow the design and put a little hole on the inside and run the wire down. This is in the hole that's right here. I just don't know how much of that glue has gotten inside this bend. That's why the drill bit doesn't fall out, is because I do have it wedged in the hole. But it would be kind of cool to have it run through the inside. And yeah, this hole does go all the way through because I'm at the bend, I believe. I have the entire threaded part of the drill bit on the inside. It just slid through. So yeah, that glue went about halfway down inside here. That pretty much indicates to me that they had this thing upside down when it was glued at the factory. Makes sense. I still got to go find the pumpkin. I'm sure the pumpkin's not hollow. I'm probably going to have to drill a hole in the pumpkin. I just don't know if anything got inside this bend, and that's where the problem's going to lie. So I need some really thin, solid core wire to try and fish through that bend. And if I can get it to fish through, then I have a viable hidden wire light. If it doesn't fish through, I still want it to light up because I kind of think it's would look better. I have the skeleton reading under a lamp that turns on. So this is some really thin wire. It is 24 gauge, so you have an idea. It's 2-strand. So cut off a piece. And there's 2 wires here. Like I said, it's a 2-strand. So I'm going to see if I can feed it with just the wire with the insulation. That doesn't work. See, that is going up to the bend and it stops again. Yeah, so let me try it from the other side. Right where this piece is, it changes diameter, so there's a lip, so you got to kind of feed it around until it drops into the center. So the hole's not straight through. There's an actual ledge on the inside. I can see it with the flashlight when I shine in there. Problem with this thin wire, there we go, found it. This thin wire is if you push too hard, you risk bending the tip of it over and then it won't fit in the little thin hole. And I think this wire is probably too fat to run power. Yeah, it's also getting caught right here at the bend. So I'm going to make the wire thinner. So here it is without the insulation. Solid copper. And there we go. I got it through the bend. And there we go. Did it once. Let's see if I can imitate it again. There we go. And I have to say, when I was at Michael's buying this earlier today, now of course today the video gets up, it'll be in a week or so. I ran into another YouTuber who runs a YouTube channel called Cult Classics. I'll put a link to his channel below. When I ran into him, I was like, I know this channel, or this name. Found out that the car club I'm in, we did a mutual event, because I liked his page from one of the events that I did as a car club. So he was doing some filming on the Lemax to show people the new stuff for 2021. Unfortunately, a couple of the pieces there were broke on display. Not broke because they were defective, broke because somebody, it looks like somebody dropped it. Probably somebody, probably a kid. Because this wire is so thin, as I'm trying to push it around the curve, it is getting caught and kinking. So I can feel it. I think the wire is right about here, which is another step. There's a step here, and there's a step here, and I think the wire's getting caught on the lip. Trying to force it around. But to give you an idea how much is in there, see how long it is. If you follow it around, it comes, let's see, right there. It's that lip. So this lip right here is causing me the grief, which is right here. Right there where the tapers. So I'm going to try the other side, which I haven't mangled yet. It's still straight. And see if I can try it one more time. There is another option. The option is right where this joint is. Cut it, break it carefully, and then feed the wire through as two sections. Do this, feed the wire all the way through, and then glue it back together. If you do it nice, you can do it pretty much seamlessly. But it takes patience, and it may be more work than most people want to do. Ah, it's no longer straight wire now. Let's try this piece. Never mind, wire broke. There we go. I could try and heat it up and see if it'll melt some of the resin or glue or whatever they use that's up inside here and make it easier. I'm afraid of damaging the plastic at the same time, because as I was heating the edge up to break the adhesive free, plastic was getting very pliable, which is why I put pliers on it. Not that it was hot, it was I didn't want to squeeze the plastic or have it deform too much, and I can get better control with the pliers than I could with my fingers. Alright, so no, I'm not going to be able to get it through. It's a two-piece light fixture. There's a seam that goes the entire length across the back and the front. I'm sure it's put together with what do they call it, sonic technology. That's where they vibrate the plastic together so it doesn't come apart. I mean, it might be injection molded. The seam's pretty straight, but I can't see it on the inside, so I'm wondering if it is just molded. Oh, yeah, I can even see the glue from my wire pushing it through. It's clogging up the inside. Let me get a little bit more light on in here. Here we go. Well, I'm pretty much committed. I'm going to probably just cut the top off and fish the wire through. Right now I'm just trying to clean some of this glue out. Using the edge of the pliers as a scraper. I'm just using like a razor blade and scraping the sides. And then using the point to dig the glue out of the cup. Still got to go get that pumpkin head. Based on the bounce, I'm thinking it's a solid pumpkin, and it just went for a little roll. Right, let's try this one more time, and then if it doesn't work, I'm just going to carefully cut the lamp so I have a custom light. See, the easiest way to cut this is probably going to be a razor knife. X-Acto. That is some hard plastic. Okay, never mind. Where I was trying to cut it, it disconnected right below it. So, that is a really small hole. And I know why the wire kept stopping. This hole actually probably doesn't go all the way through, or it's got something in it. Where it broke or separated, it's white. In the very center, it's black, but there's some clear hard stuff there. I'm thinking it might be glue. Maybe this was a two-piece lamp. You know, on one of my previous videos, I mentioned this. Work smarter, not harder. Be very careful if you do this, because you don't want to drill your fingers or run it through your hand. Try and keep it parallel so you don't drill through the side. What I'm doing is, like I said, there's a taper right here. I'm going to drill through that taper. Yeah, that's a lot better. So if you want to do this, you're probably going to have to separate the lamp at the point where it tapers from the fat pole to the next size before it gets to the smallest size. You probably have to drill a hole. If it's like this one, it'll be a non-pass-through, or it'll be clogged. This side has that same clear appearance, but based on the drill piece is, it's just plastic, so apparently it's not cast as a full hollow pole like the ones that are pre-lit. You will need a micro drill bit to do this. This is a really small drill bit. Right now I'm just trying to clear it out. Some of the plastic and stuff is stuck inside. Not the most exciting video, but if you want to modify your own stuff, this is one way of doing it. If somebody finds an easier way, they can let me know, or just post it in the comments. I think my drill gets small enough for this one. Anybody that's done custom stuff know the tedious amount of time to do it the first time. Then if you did it multiple times after, you'd get it done faster. That's pretty much what we're doing here. If I can't get this through quickly, then I'll stop the video and come back once the process is done, boring out the piece here that's not passing the wire. There we go. They still got to find some really thin wire to do this too. I think I got it. Thinks we got it. I think I got the last piece out. Now I'll get some more wire that's not all mangled, like right here. Jeez. Problem with this thin stuff is so easy to break it. And I probably have to run thinner to get it through here to make this light up. Should be enough. Almost had it through. There's still some stuff stuck inside. So if you don't have any patience, this may not be the best thing to do to yours. But if you have patience and time, the wire's all the way in. It's actually stuck up against the base of this flange. So apparently the hole in this flange is tapered to fit over this piece of fake pipe. I can feel the stoppage, and you can see the shiny copper. So I did try and feed it this way, and it gets stopped faster. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to make the hole in this flange the same size as the hole in the pipe. I'm also going to use the drill to try and remove some of this resin glue. Better tweezers here. Whatever they use for glue is really sticky. So it acts like hot glue, but it's not peeling like hot glue. There we go. Let me make sure I got no plastic up in there, and let's try it one more time. Nope, still can't get it to line up with the bend. Oh, it's because I have an obstruction. Alright, well, I am going to work on getting the obstruction out because I can't get it in any farther. So apparently when I drilled in through the hole, I must have pushed something up inside here. So I'm going to have to bore it back out. And while I do that, right when I'm done, I'm going to grab that pumpkin that rolled under the refrigerator. Because it's going to be really hard to make it light up if I don't have the pumpkin. So I shall return so I'm not wasting all this time trying to watch me make this hollow. Once I make it hollow, get the obstruction out, of course, I'll show you how I do the wiring. And I gotta go find some really thin wire. So I'll be back. Okay, we're back. And I got an LED. I got a yellow LED because I think it looks better. I dug out the pumpkin from under the refrigerator, which already has a hole in it. And I cleaned the glue out already. This is a 3mm LED. And it's yellow, because the yellow to me looks better in the pumpkin. The orange isn't bright enough and it's dim. The yellow kind of complements the yellowish orange or light orange shade of the pumpkin. I did get the wire fish through. And this is the type of wire that's covered in varnish that you have to scrape off with a knife to get contact. And I did verify that they're not shorted inside the hump. The reason I was having a problem was there was a piece of debris, the plastic and the glue stuck inside, and I had to take the wire and shove it through and put little bends in it so I could spin it and kind of act like an auger to get the chunks out. And then now the wire just slides back and forth with the greatest of ease. So, to show you this is not shorted, I have this set on noise, so if it detects a short, beeps. It's a audible continuity tester. So if I touch these two, which are nothing, if I touch one of these, that's the wire. And if I touch this one, there's that one. It's just really hard. There we go. Because the wires are so thin, they keep moving. And to make this work, I'm going to make this work on a 4.5 volt power adapter. The 4.5 volt power adapter is more common now because the 3 volts have gone by the wayside. So I'm going to run the wire through to the bottom, and I'm going to have to put a resistor on here because this can only run at 2 to 2.2 volts. Anything above that will pop the LED, it'll fry it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to put the resistor into the LED, I'm going to put the resistor down in the base. So for the LED, I need to trim off most of these leads so it can be soldered and still fit inside this lamp post. I already pre-tinned the leads because I wanted to make sure I had a good connection for the continuity test. So I'm going to quickly solder these on. Because the leads are so short, you got to be really careful soldering these on. You can actually burn out the LED from the amount of heat. So you just want to do a quick touch. Make sure you got a good joint. Let it cool. Rotate the LED so I can see the other lead better. I would recommend, if you got them, magnification goggles. If not, when you have good eyes, then don't worry about it. Make sure I got the right wire. Trying to do this as quick as possible because too much heat, like I said, would burn out this LED. So let's make sure I didn't burn out the LED. Hopefully it's just reverse polarity. Yes. Oh, there's the light. Turn off the soldering iron for a minute. And I already put some heat shrink on here, so I can just slide it down over the solder joint, because you don't want the two to touch each other. There's a sharp spot where when I soldered, the one wire is protruding out. I want to remove the sharp spots so that the heat shrink doesn't tear when it's put under pressure. Basically, the wire didn't solder completely parallel, it soldered at a slight angle. So we want to heat the heat shrink up so it shrinks. Same thing, try and do it quick so you don't overheat the LED. Everything has a temperature range. Alright, and then carefully pull the wires through. Alright. What I'm doing is I'm helping the heat shrink in this other wire get into the hole. So I pull a little and then I'm twisting and squeezing the LED prongs so I can get it to fit, because we need this pumpkin to go back on. Yes. There we go. See, there's a little bit of a gap. I don't know if you can see it. So I need to get it in a little bit further. That. There we go. No more gap. And we'll put a dab of glue on that thing to hold it back in. I'll probably just use a little dab of hot glue. So I'm going to feed this back through. Once this is all done, this I'm probably going to glue with Gorilla Glue, this joint. I'm hoping I never have to take it back apart. Anyway, to run this at 4.5 volts, show you that it will be 4.5 volts, I'm going to stick this into my machine over here, my power supply. Oh, make it easier for you. I won't reverse the polarity. So 1 and 2. Right now it's at 2 volts, which is what this LED runs at. So two volts. To make this run on a 4.5 volt Lemax power supply, you need a 150 ohm resistor. This is an 1/8 watt 150 ohm resistor. You see it's a lot dimmer now. You know, I'm going to turn off this light to make it a little easier to see. There's a brightness change. 2 volts, resisted 2 volts. So, I'm going to pump this thing up to 4.5 volts. 4.56. There we go. So, this resistor is important because if I were to touch it this way, I'd pop the LED. And then I have to take it all apart and do it again. Turn off the power. And I'm going to cut the wire up here. So I'll have about 7/16 of an inch sticking out. Get rid of that wire. I need to scrape the end. So I get some bare copper. I have seen people use a lighter to do this. I find it's just easier to scrape it. It's a preference. It's the kind of wire that they use when they do transformers and stuff. It's got a varnish coating. So you just got to scrape the varnish off. And then we're going to tin that, and I'm going to cut this resistor short as well. So I'm going to cut this down. So I cut off one side to where it's about 1/8 of an inch again. Same thing, you don't want to overheat the component with a soldering iron. So when I tin this, to make it faster, I'm going to add a little flux. You can use flux paste or flux gel. I'm going to use a flux pen. Solder, and you know what, I should have flux pen this side too. This side you can take a little longer on because it has to heat sink all the way around, but you don't want to be too long because you don't want the varnish near where the two wires connect to melt and stick to each other. I'm going to have to turn this light back on so I can see. So both sides are tinned. So stick them together. Clean the tip. Turn the power back on. Four and a half volts. There we go. So light works. Still, it didn't damage it. So, I'm going to curl the resistor up inside this hollow base, and I'm going to have the lead stick out. What I'm probably going to end up doing is cutting this wire short as well, and soldering on a little bit thicker wire, so when I run it off to a barrel jack, I'm not worried about this solid core wire breaking. I'll keep the solid core wire up inside here to make life a little easier. So I'll probably run this thickness. This will probably work fine, these just short lengths, out of this gap, and then connect it to a barrel jack. So, first thing is I'm going to glue the light back together so the pole quits twisting and facing the wrong direction. I use the Gorilla Glue with the brush. I find it's a little easier to control. Just going to put a little there. And you need to invest in that stuff that you spray on and make it turn instantly hard. Scraper go right there. You want to do your 2021 Michael's guy reading a newspaper at a light post, and you want to make this work, you can. It's going to take you some time, as you can see. If I wasn't filming it and I was just doing it on my leisure, I wouldn't care on how long it took, and I'd probably get it done in about half the time. But especially now, since I know how to do this. First time you do anything being custom, like I said earlier, it makes it harder. There we go. So, let's put some flux on this. Remember, right, the resistor's on the negative side. Yep. I'm also going to put a little flux on that. And I am going to slide the piece of heat shrink down it as well. So I don't want the two making contact and shorting out. Quickly tin that. That one's tinned. there's the negative, get the positive on. Or try to. Here we go. Cut off the extra. Just looking for a piece of heat shrink. I thought I had a small piece right here. I will get the hot glue gun out so we can glue the globe back together. And also I'm going to use the glue gun to glue the base together, because I am not going to hard glue it in case I have to take it back apart. I do know that the super glue or Gorilla Glue I used in here, there's a very, very high probability, probably 100%, that I got it on the wire, which means the wire is glued in there. But I'm hoping if I ever take the base apart, like if the resistor goes out or something, I don't have to worry about taking the lamp apart. So, slide it over the hot. We're going to heat shrink it back together. Now I'm going to carefully twist it inside of the base, have it stick out like so. So we just kind of curled it and then have it sticking out the side out of one of the notches from where the factory lit lamps would have the wires feeding through. Hot glue gun started. Try to move that out of the way here. Make a little bit more room. All the glue gun's heating up. Beautiful. You can see that newspaper nicely. And I'll show you once it's all back together. And I'll do it in the dark so you can see how bright it is. If you want it dimmer than what I'm doing, because I'm having it close to its maximum brightness, you can run a higher value resistor, 200 ohms, or you can make it run on the 3-volt power supply. I didn't want it super dim, but I didn't want it super bright, so I'm running it really close to like 75% power of the LED. So I can actually, the resistor it's recommending is actually 115 ohms, and I don't have one, and I didn't like how bright it was, because I do have a potentiometer I can use that will give me 115 ohms so I can get an idea how bright it is. And it was a little too bright. Setting it at the low end of it, it was a little too dim, so I chose something that was probably slightly brighter than most people may want. I'm not going to glue his body back together, because if I line this back up with its glue seam, a little clear point that's sticking out still fits inside of the rib cage, because the rib cage has a cup. And once I get this glued on, I'm going to probably slide some heat shrink down in here that's black, so I can kick it off to the side. I want to get this glued together first. Putting a little glue on the inside to act as a strain relief, meaning that if the wires get pulled, it doesn't try and break free from the resistor. And the glue wasn't hot enough yet because it hardened way too fast. Well, now it's plenty hot, it's just pouring out, so it should be good. And a little on the inside for strain relief. Of course, I've got it on my fingers and it burns. Line up the torso. One of the nice things about hot glue is if you mess it up, it's easily fixed. Bad thing about hot glue is all the little hairs that stick off. That's kind of annoying. Okay. Actually, let's pull the little hairs off and give it some power, kill some lights, and get an idea what it looks like. And then I'll put on my connector later, and you'll probably see it in my village when I film it, since I got the 2021 pieces now. I just got to integrate them into what it is, and then we're going to film the piece, all the pieces. So. I thought about using a flicker bulb, but I figured solid would probably look better. So. And off. You can see the nice star pattern from the pumpkin lines. You can see the newspapers, easy to see, the characters easy to see. So, it's kind of a tedious project. I do like the star pattern. I think that's going to look really good in the display. Because street lights aren't overly bright, they're not overly dim. They're bright enough that you can see, and I think this is plenty of light for imitating a real street lamp. You can see the sparkle in the camera. That's where the LED is shining through the flat sides of the pumpkin and not the grooves of the lines, grooves of the pumpkin. This is all coming from the flat panels acting as a lens to help beam the light out. So I do like the pattern. I think it looks really good. When it gets filmed in the display, it'll be a much better camera than this one. They'll have a better adjustment for the LED intensities, so it's not all overpowered. So all I'm going to do is slide some heat shrink on the wires that are coming out right here. You can see the reflection of the light off the two leads, and stick on a barrel jack that Lemax uses for the 4.5 volt power supplies. So, appreciate you watching. Sorry this video is about an hour long. If you want to modify this, this is how I did mine. I did not do this in advance. I literally bought this a few hours ago and figured I'm going to make this light up. And I did. And the glue joint right here, as you can't notice, there is some glue from the hot glue strings that I have to peel off still. So next time you see it, it'll be blended into a village display. Thanks for watching. Any questions or comments or ideas to make it easier, go ahead and put them below. I'm open to ideas. I'm not always right on how I do things, considering most everything I do is custom. The first time you try it, you can find what you do wrong, fix it the second time.